Transpose is a puzzle game that is set in a surreal and dreamlike world. The main aim is to place boxes into slots. Doing so slowly powers up an ancient machine. The game has quite a unique mechanic, which is the ability to make clones of yourself. These clones can hold and throw for boxes too, so you will need to plan ahead of time where your clones will be in a level so that you can successfully pass each box all the way to their slots. The level layouts do get more complex as you progress, especially when anti-gravity is introduced. At this moment in time, there is nothing quite like it on for PSVR, and it will certainly put puzzle game fans' solving skills to the test. The game has been out for a while now, so instead of finding out the basics of what the game is about, I wanted to dive deeper into the creation process. Josh Manrix, product lead and head of tech/content at Secret Location, kindly agreed to answer some of my questions. This is what we spoke about. How long was Transpose in development for?
So we finished prototyping the time rewinding in like September of 2017. The project was called Looper back then. We worked on it for about 4 weeks, and at the end we had a handful of levels built, and we were confident we were onto something cool. We went into full production around January of this year and released on Vive, Oculus and PSVR worldwide on November 6th. So I guess it was around 14 months from prototype to release.
Did you look at other puzzle games for inspiration? If so, which ones?
The original reference was a mobile game called Does Not Commute. You drive a vehicle across a screen from point A to point B. The game rewinds, then you drive another vehicle between two different points while your previous vehicle plays out. And from there the game layers on more and more cars, so it sort of gets pretty hectic. Of course we played a lot of other classic sort of puzzle games like Braid for its time rewinding mechanic, and Portal as well for like its level traversal. And we learned so much from these two things, of course.
Like most puzzle games, there isn't a massive storyline, but the world is very interesting. Can you give us more of an insight into the place that it is set in?
Initially, the game starts in a world that's void of light and energy, and it's up to the player to bring it back to life. It's a story of exploration and evolution, told from the perspective of the player recognizing and remembering their past as they progress through the game. It was a conscious decision to not explicitly tell you who you are and what you're doing, but instead we leave it up to the player to interpret the story in their own way.
This game already includes a lot of puzzle mechanics, but was there any that were discussed which didn't make the final game?
We did prototype a 3D map that you could bring up in your hand. It showed the level, all your echoes playing back. It was cool, but in the end it complicated the controller scheme, so we decided to remove it. It didn't really affect the gameplay to take it out, so I think it was a good decision. We also cut a bunch of levels late in development because they just felt like filler. I'm always of the opinion that the shorter, tighter experience is better than a longer one that draws on and on with nothing new to say. I also wanted to put in more direct interaction between the player and their echoes, something like high fives or handshakes, but we just ran out of time in the end.
We have seen cloning puzzle games in the past, but never in VR. Was it hard to balance the difficulty with such a different perspective of the genre?
We always have a rigorous testing schedule from when we hit alpha through to when we ship all of our games. We'd never made a puzzle game before, so it was even more important for us to really focus on user testing for Transpose. During development, we ran full-day testing sessions once every 2 weeks. People would come in, they'd play the game, they'd give feedback, and then we address the things that we felt were important over the next 2 weeks to have them ready for the new group of testers when they came in. And we repeated this, week after week after week after week. Outside of the actual puzzles, we were also observing how people react to seeing their recordings play out, which was actually really interesting. The full body recording and playback can convey so much emotion in it. People would see their body language and instantly remember what they were thinking at that point. They would even talk to themselves in their recordings. I think it's something that really sets a VR implementation of this mechanic apart from a traditional flat screen game. You are getting a true recording of your own actions, not just a third-person representation of them.
Because you have free control over your position in the world, I can imagine some levels required a lot of playtesting to make sure the player couldn't cheat and pass by a massive section. What was one of the main levels that you had to play numerous times to perfect its layout?
Being able to change orientation on a lot of different geometry in the level opens up a lot of opportunities for players to cheese the puzzles. We plug them on a case-by-case basis, but that being said, we did leave a few of them in there. Mostly they require a pretty accurate throw across a far distance. I think it was people were going to try it, so we might as well reward them for an epic throw. It feels awesome to be able to sink a box directly into a socket from across the level.
Is it likely we will see DLC, or even better, a sequel in the future?
We don't currently have anything new to announce for Transpose, but we're working on a bunch of new projects that we're excited to share more details about in 2019.
A massive thanks to Josh Manrix for returning and doing another interview on the channel. Last time we discussed blasters of the universe. If you want to see that video, there is a link on screen right now. If you want to see more interviews in the future, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more PlayStation VR content.